Well, there's something you don't see every day. How about a complete game shutout from the Reds, Andrew Abbott? Plus, the Padres make it rain at Petco. We've got all that and more. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Thanks for being here for this edition of Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. John Frisch here with you, one half of Locked On Angels. With me is JD Hafron of Locked On Cardinals. We'll be taking you all around the league with the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Coming up on today's show, a pitching matchup in Kansas City turns into a slugfest. Could the Nationals play up to the New York Mets? And how about a walk-off in Anaheim? We'll get to all that, but first, I want to thank our friends over at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. JD, we're going to take it to your neck of the woods. Actually, no, the Reds are in Cleveland. My bad. I was going to say,
they're in the land. I don't live there.
You're in the land. You're not there. The Reds took the Ohio Cup in game one of this series with a 7-4 victory on Monday night, and they did it with manager Terry Francona's return to Cleveland. Just insult to injury right there. Guardians have dropped all 4 games they've played against the Reds so far this season. Would their fortunes turn around on Tuesday night? We're going to find out from Jeff Carr of Locked On Reds about who played hero in this one.
Andrew Abbott is him. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, and Andrew Abbott threw a beautiful complete game shutout. First complete game shutout by a Reds starting pitcher since 2021. Oh, by the way, that was Wade Miley's no-hitter in Cleveland. So something about Reds pitchers in Cleveland just really gets him going. But he had all the help in the world with his defense as well. Just a masterful pitching performance, great defensive performance. 1-0 ball games aren't usually that fun, because, well, the Reds have been on the other side of those this year. But it's nice to see them on the right side of them, and it's all because of Andrew Abbott and the defense. Great catch by Jake Fraley. Amazing double play in the 9th inning by Ellie and Matt McLean. This is the kind of baseball that if the bats aren't going, this is what the Reds can do. And, I mean, the fact that Andrew Abbott has grown to this point in his career where, A, Terry Francona felt confident enough to leave him in and not go to his bullpen, and B, he delivered, that just shows the renaissance of yet another all-star candidate for your Cincinnati Reds. Way to go, Andrew Abbott.
Yeah, not something you see all the time when it comes to a complete game and a shutout. You got to love that. Jeff from Locked On Guardians feels like, if things had gone just so differently, and Jeff mentioned the defense for his Reds. Let's go to Jeff of Locked On Guardians about how he felt about this loss.
Cleveland Guardians fall to the Cincinnati Reds 1-0. Is there a worse way to lose? I'm Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians, and let's very quickly talk about this game. Cleveland's had a rough stretch with offense of late. I mean, anyone who's a fan could tell you that. This game personified it. But I also want to point out something. There's been 2 ridiculous catches in the past week. Today it was Fraley, diving catch on Jose. We can go back to the melting catch on Friday. If those 2 catches don't happen, these catches that 99% of the time do not occur, the Cleveland Guardians right now have the 3rd best record in the American leagues. And I know it wishes and all that stuff, but they are on a razor's edge because the offense is not being effective. Other side of it, Slade Ciccone, what a revelation he has been. 4 out of his 5 starts have been very strong. Cleveland's got to get it going. They faced one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. They struggled. Some questionable choices, some questionable strike zone issues. We'll get into it and so much more on Locked On Guardians. Make sure you're tuned in every day.
Yeah, interesting. Slade Ciccone is the guy who came over from the Diamondbacks for Josh Naylor. And you kind of wonder, the Guardians missing that offense right now because Naylor hit that walk-off grand slam the other night, JD. A little butterfly effect talk right there from Jeff. Like, yeah, if this doesn't happen or that catch doesn't happen, but
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes when you're a baseball fan. Now, Andrew Abbott went 9 innings, of course, 3 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks on 110 pitches. JD, question for you.
Sure.
Do you miss those days when starters were allowed to or even could go 115 pitches, 120 pitches? What do you say?
I don't know if I miss it, but I certainly appreciate it more now that we've gotten to a point where they're not expected to go past 6. If you go past 6, it's like, wow, you're an incredible pitcher. Look at you. Where, you hear about some of the stats from back in the day where like, that's all they did. It was complete games over and over and over and over. I don't really think the pitch count is really what's doing damage to guys these days. It's more like, the velo and the torque that they're putting on their arms that's doing the damage. But, I watching like the Braves pitching staff growing up with like Tom Glavine and Smoltzy. And I know Smoltz had an arm issue at some point, but like Greg Maddux, like these guys just didn't throw hard, but they were great pitchers. So it makes you appreciate what Andrew Abbott did tonight. And, Jeff Carr was right. Andrew Abbott's been on fire. I know he had a bad outing his last one for him, but he's been excellent for the Cincinnati Reds this year. A big surprise.
Definitely. Great to see that from Andrew Abbott, of course. Let's take it to the Cubs meeting the Phillies for game 2 of this set. The Phillies took the win on Monday night in extra innings versus the Chicago Cubs. They needed that win after being swept by the Pirates over the weekend. So could the Cubs even it up in game 2? For more, we're going to go to Sam Olber of Locked On Cubs to find out.
Ian Happ hits 2 home runs, and the Cubs bullpen holds down the fort in Philadelphia. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast, and Happ hit 2 homers, Bush hit a homer, Dansby hit a homer, and we've been awaiting that offensive breakout, and credit to them for getting it done. But I think the biggest story from this baseball game is 4 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball. Brazier came in, he allowed the inherited runs to score, but then Thielbar, Keller, Presley, Flexen, all scoreless efforts to help the Cubs hold this lead. I gotta say the Presley story is really interesting, especially his last few outings. The velocity's up, looks like a different pitcher, really confident. This Cubs bullpen has really helped the Cubs, especially through a stretch where they haven't hit the ball recently as well as they had been, but they did on Tuesday night. Ian Happ, of course, with the big game, 2 home runs. Great to see him starting to get going, because if he can get going, it really takes a lot of pressure off some of the other guys. Cubs will go for the series win on Wednesday in Philadelphia.
A big night there for Cubs offense. Everybody but PCA. He didn't get a hit in this one. So nice to see the Cubs
tells you how
offense.
good their depth is, though. If a big gun like him and Suzuki aren't having big nights, they're still able to pull off victories. Ian Happ, UC guy, by the way, University of Cincinnati. So Cincinnati thing's going well tonight.
That's right. I love that. Hey, so we've got Connor from Locked On Phillies sharing his perspective on the loss. Let's take it to Connor right now.
Phillies get doubled up by the Cubs, lose game 2. The home run killed the Phillies in this game. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. Giving up 4 bombs in the same game is never good for your success rate. It wasn't good for the Phillies tonight. They need to stop pitching to Ian Happ. Like tomorrow in the day game, do not throw him a pitch. I don't care. Put him on every time. Whatever. He's crushing this team. But the Cubs are a really good offensive team, and that's why they average nearly 6 runs a game. Mick Abel got his taste of his first great lineup in Major League Baseball that he needed to face, and he did not have his best day out there. He wasn't terrible, and the bullpen wasn't great, and Taijuan Walker in high-leverage bullpen spots hasn't seemed to be going well for the Philadelphia Phillies. The offense has shown signs, but today the pitching just wasn't good enough. The good news for Phillies fans, I guess, is the pitching normally should be good enough with starters, but just had a young guy on the mound who wasn't ready today. No fault on Mick Abel majorly, but we'll talk about it more on tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, Mick Abel finally getting a taste of a tough team. He had faced the Pirates and won that game, and then also faced the Blue Jays, got a no decision. But this one was a tough test. It was 4 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 3 solo home runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks on 89 pitches. So yeah, tough outing for the young guy. His team picked him up, though, so he didn't take the L. They got 4 against Cubs starter Colin Ray. So a little time to worry at all about Mick Abel, or is just a one-off thing, JD?
Yeah, it's just growing pains. I mean, you're going to face a team like the Cubs who, we were just talking about, like a lot of length in that lineup right now. A lot of guys who are able to do damage even when the middle of order doesn't. And they're very good. The Cubs are an excellent team this year, and they're playing well together. So, these are going to happen. Anytime you face a good lineup, there's going to be days where they just beat you. And I'm sure there's going to be days where Mickoli goes out and beats a really good lineup. So no worries. I wouldn't be worried about him whatsoever. Just part of the process.
We're going to take it out to Kansas City, where Aaron Judge did some more Aaron Judge stuff. We're going to tell you about that in just a minute.
Today's show being brought to you by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and then you just kind of wonder, like, wait, where did all my money go? I know it was in here somewhere. Where did it go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, going to ball games, obviously, it's really easy to lose track of where your funds are, and that's where Monarch Money can come in and be your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, and it's going to track all your accounts. It's going to track your investments and do all your spending. It's going to have all of this for you in one spot, so you can stop managing your money and actually start building wealth. Money conversations with your partner, they go much, much smoother when you have Monarch Money. You can track shared and personal accounts. You can set goals together, stay on the same page, and you can do it without all the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. They're going to hook you up with 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
Back here on a Locked On MLB game night, every game, every night. We're taking it to Kansas City, where the Yankees visit the Royals. They send Max Fried on the mound. Meanwhile, the Royals send starter Noah Cameron to the mound. He's been great to start his career. I think he carved up the Cardinals the other day.
Carved up everybody. He's carved them up twice, actually. He did it in Kansas City and did it in St. Louis. He's been incredible so far to begin his career.
Yeah, he entered Tuesday with a 0.85
That's good.
ERA. So is he gonna stop the freight train that is Aaron Judge and the Yankees offense? We're gonna find out from Brian of Locked On Yankees how this one went down.
Max Fried start following Yankee loss, another Yankee victory. I'm Brian McKeon of Locked On Yankees, and what an unbelievable start for Max Fried, right? Who should be the American League All-Star starter. Max Fried had one of his best starts of the season against Kansas City, struggled towards the end of it, but again, 2 runs through 6 innings, just an unbelievable pitching performance for Max Fried, and plus Aaron Judge hitting one of the longest home runs we've ever seen him hit, and that's certainly saying something. An overall dominant performance and a great way for the Yankees to start their series in Kansas City after dropping the series to Boston at home. We'll be discussing all of that and much more all week on Locked On Yankees. Plus, a return of Giancarlo Stanton is imminent. We'll get to all of it this week.
Ooh, you're going to add Stanton to that lineup now? Good grief. The Yankees poured it on 10-2 against Noah Cameron. Aaron Judge's home run that he mentioned, JD, get this, 469 feet, 118 miles an hour off the bat. Pretty, a typical day for Aaron Judge, right?
Got it up in the jet stream, probably.
Yeah.
He's weak.
Up there with the Jets, actually, up there. In the Yankees didn't have any trouble with Noah Cameron. 5 2/3 innings pitched for him, 6 earned runs and 2 home runs. Brought his ERA up from 0.85, as I previously mentioned, to 2.17. That's a shame. Let's take it over.
Eventually, the worm is going to turn, and somebody's going to finally hit this kid, and it just so happened to be the Yankees. But he's been very impressive for Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take it to Boston, where the Rays meet the Red Sox in the second game of this set. It took extra innings to get Game 1 done on Monday night. The Rays won that one, despite Roman Anthony's debut for the Red Sox. It wasn't really the debut he probably would have wanted. So would night 2 be any different for him and the Red Sox? We're going to go to Gabby from Locked On Red Sox to find out how this one went down in Boston.
Lito had a big outing for the Boston Red Sox tonight. Is the tide turning for the starting pitching? I'm Gabby Maljanian from Locked On Red Sox, where the Red Sox won 3-1 against the Tampa Bay Rays tonight, and Lucas Giolito for sure was the story of that game, going 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and just 1 run, but it was unearned. Now, this is coming back to back from a big start from Brian Bayo last night where he was able to pitch into the 7th inning. So the starters are giving more length now. That's something that they were struggling with a lot this season, was the starters being able to pitch deep into games. So now they've gotten yet another outing in which the starter went deeper. So be on the lookout for hopefully more strong performances from the starting pitchers like this. Roman Anthony also collected his first major league hit in the game, which drove in 2 of the Red Sox 3 runs. I'm Gabby from Locked On Red Sox. Tune in on any podcast platform for more.
Yeah, she mentioned Roman Anthony, of course, 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs in this one. Made a nice little sliding catch out there in the outfield. So, JD, you were questioning, is the bad defense he showed on Monday night, is that something he does? Because we all know he can hit, but hey, he flashed the leather out there in right field. She mentioned Lucas Giolito as well. He went 1 2/3 against the Angels last week and gave up
powered Angels, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Seven earnies against him last week. So a nice bounce back performance from Lucas Giolito. Let's go to Petco Park, where we teased it out a little bit, what the Padres were able to do. But the Dodgers, they've got wealth, and they've been lacking in the health. And they got some much-needed relief help back in the form of Kirby Yates and Michael Kopech. It was the bullpen who kept them in the game as they won it in extras on Monday night. Every game between these two feels like a playoff game, especially after the incredible division series they had last year. So how'd it go on Tuesday night? We're going to go to Vince of Locked On Dodgers, who's got the rundown in San Diego. Here we go.
I've been told the Dodgers played a game in San Diego on Tuesday, but I can't confirm that it actually happened. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers, and after a big win on Monday, it was a very bad loss on Tuesday. It was going to be tough sledding for the Dodgers with the, quote-unquote bullpen game. Matt Sauer is going to take down a bulk of the innings, and he did take down a little bit of a bulk of the innings, but he was not effective at all. He gave up 13 hits, 9 runs, and threw 111 pitches. Shout out to him, for doing that. Kike Hernandez finished out the game. So the positive from this is the Dodgers only used Lou Trevino and Matt Sauer as actual pitchers, and Matt Sauer probably gets optioned after this game. Offensively, Teoscar Hernandez looks lost at the plate. Came up 2 times with a chance to turn this into a game early in the game and looked completely non-competitive. He's still hurt because he hasn't been good since he came back from the injured list. We're going to get into all that, so make sure to go check out Locked On Dodgers if you get podcasts and on YouTube.
Yeah, just a offensive onslaught from the Padres, an 11-1 victory. JD, what happened in this one?
Well, as you mentioned, like Sauer, it's funny because we led the show off with what Andrew Abbott did on 110 pitches, and then you got Sauer, who 111, I think is what he said, and he only went through 4 2/3 innings. So just kind of night and day there. 13 hits, 9 runs given up by Sauer. The Padres get a monster game from Manny Machado. He's 3 for 5 with 5 ribbies. Leads all in out third baseman and batting average right now at 325, second in the entire league behind J-Ram. And then third among all third basemen and RBIs with 39. Xander Bogaerts, he's alive still, 3 for 5, 2 RBIs. Dylan Cease also had a very interesting game where it was one of his best outings. 7 innings, shutout, 11 strikeouts, also had 5 walks. He ends up throwing 103 pitches, which I find amazing to have that many strikeouts and that many walks and only 103 pitches. But it got the job done. So Padres now just a game back of LA in the West. Look out, Dodgers.
It's getting interesting out west here in Southern California. So a lot of fun to watch those two play. I say that as an Angels fan. I love watching the Dodgers and the Padres.
It's cool when you see two really good teams play each other. It's a lot of fun, especially when you don't have any money on it or anything like that.
Right.
Where it's I'm just there to watch the entertainment value.
That's the key. Yeah, if you don't have any money on it. Hey, we're gonna take you to who I think is the best team in baseball, not just record wise, but just team wise. We're gonna tell you what the Tigers did in Baltimore. We'll get into all of that coming right up.
Today's show will also be brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product information. That way you can get the job done right the first time around, which is what we're all shooting for, right? Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need. It's going to get delivered to you fast, coast to coast, no matter where you are in the U.S. And if you happen to need some help with an order, you have a question that you need answered, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service where you're always going to be able to talk to a real person. And for my trade pros out there looking for an extra edge, if you haven't done it already, make sure you try their free Trade Master program where they offer you exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line. You get free shipping and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. It's your turn now. Make sure you sign up. Join that Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Keeping our look around the league going, we're going to take it to the Marlins and Pirates. It's the second game of this series. Pirates made it 4 straight wins with a 10-3 victory over the Marlins on Monday night. Miami comes into Tuesday hoping they would get their second consecutive good start out of Sandy Alcantara. They want to even up this series behind Sandy. Here's Jeremiah of Locked On Marlins to tell us if Alcantara could get it done.
El Caballo is back, baby. Sandy Alcantara looked dominant against the Pirates. It's Jeremiah Geiger from Locked On Marlins. Look, it's been a rough year for Sandy Alcantara, but he had a good game against the Rockies, and in this one against the Pirates, he looked like the Cy Young winner that he is. He went 6 shutout innings, only 3 hits, 1 walk, struck out 6. He controlled the game from start to finish. The location was there. Everything that makes Sandy Alcantara a great pitcher was evident in today's game. Nick Fortes got the scoring going with a home run, and Eric Wagman with an RBI single. The Marlins were up 3-0. The Pirates battled back, though. They hit a couple solo bombs in the 8th, but Calvin Fauché locks it down, gets the save, and the Marlins can go for a series victory against the Buccos with a matinee game on Wednesday. Check out Locked On Marlins for more.
Yeah, it was a 3-2 victory for the Marlins. Sandy going 6 scoreless, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. Good to see a second good consecutive start from Alcantara. Gary of Locked On Pirates shares how he's feeling despite his team not getting that 5th win in a row that they so desperately wanted and were hoping for. Let's hear from Gary right now.
Couldn't get anything going against Sandy Alcantara tonight. And later on, they tried to come back. This is Gary from Locked On Pirates. Pirates did not manage to extend their winning streak to 5 games against the Marlins tonight. In fact, they trailed 3-0 and really did next to nothing offensively. Sandy Alcantara was way better than the way he's looked the rest of the season. And the Pirates probably helped that along a little bit. But I still liked his mix better than what was advertised. I'd heard he was really struggling with the fastball placement. Not tonight. It was really going where he wanted it to. It looked like a lot more two-seam usage too, which is probably a better mix for him. O'Neal Cruz, long home run late. Brian Hayes, a surprise home run. Welcome back to the land of the powered living, my friend. Need a little bit more of that, I think. All in all, 3-2 loss after a 4-game winning streak. Okay, let's get it back on track tomorrow and wrap up the series against the Marlins. Should be a good one. We'll talk about it tomorrow on Locked On Pirates.
JD, I'm going to flip the script here a little bit. I had a question for you, but now I want to know how many good Alcantara starts do we need to make him a viable trade candidate by the deadline?
I think he already is, to be honest.
You think so?
The way people have been talking about him, they see that the skill set is still there, and he's just, he's coming back from a serious arm injury. So
Right.
I think people are actually trying to pick the pockets of the Marlins while he's not pitching all that well and see if they can get him for a cheaper price. The one thing I will say is, Jeremiah mentioned, he's like, hey, back-to-back really good starts against who? The Pirates and the Rockies. Let me see him do it against a team that is actually in the top 25 of hitting and not those two teams. Do it against one of those kind of teams, and then we can start talking, and I'll start feeling the Alcantara vibes a little bit more. But obviously, he's still a young man and should be able to bounce back from that arm injury. And I don't know if he'll ever be as dominant as he was that Cy Young year, but, who knows? He's still, like I said, young guy.
Absolutely. Hey, the Braves meet the Brewers in Milwaukee. The Braves snapped their 7-game losing streak behind Chris Sale on Monday night. Milwaukee had trouble doing anything against Chris Sale, so could they turn it around on a Tuesday night? Well, Chuck from Locked On Brewers has his thoughts as he's taken another walk around American Family Field. Let's hear from Chuck right now.
What the Brewers are on the under this year, but they're unbelievable, man. Even when they win, score many runs. Hey, everybody, Chuck Freeman, Instant Reaction, Locked On Brewers. Quinn Priester, again, pitched terrific. 7 strikeouts, 6 innings. Brewers got him a couple of home runs. Churio and Jake Bauers. Well, maybe Jake Bauers should be in the everyday lineup. Something we'll talk about a little bit later on today. Maybe Jake Bauers needs to be play every day. He plays every other day, and give him some left field, some first base, but let's talk about that. Maybe he better clean up tonight, so we'll talk about that. But Brewers have a chance to win this series against the Braves. That's a good lineup over there. I just don't know why the Braves are struggling, but they had nothing going against Priester. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more later on tonight in the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe.
There you go. The Brewers able to take this one 4-1 behind Quinn Priester. So good stuff from Chuck there. And we'll take it over to the best team in baseball, Tigers meeting the Orioles in Baltimore. When this season started, you could have imagined these two meeting in the playoffs in some sort of, ALCS or something like that. But Orioles scuffling so far this season. Are they trying to tame the Tigers in Baltimore? Let's go to Scott of Locked On Tigers to find out if those Tigers could be tamed in Baltimore.
Well, the Detroit Tigers are now 20 games over 500. I'm Scott Bentley, host of Locked On Tigers. That's a 5-3 win. Even though the scoreboard may look like it was, relatively close 2-run game, this game was never in doubt. The Tigers looked like the better team on the field for all 9 innings. They looked like they had the upper hand, and they were in complete control this entire ball game. Kind of a throwback to last year, pitching chaos type of thing. Brant Herter. The Orioles have been horrific against left-handed pitching this year, the worst team in all of baseball offensively. So Brant Herter, who was the opener, almost goes 4 innings because they were like, well, we're just going to leave him out there if he's just mowing everyone down. And then Sawyer Gipson-Long, his second outing back from almost 2 years off without pitching, looked fantastic. That was absolutely incredible. That dude is, like, this team just produces pitching. Sawyer Gipson-Long hasn't pitched since September of 2 seasons ago. He's back and throwing, change-ups that look like that and throwing great outings. Torkelson with a homer. Vote for him for the All-Star game. He's toward the top, if not at the top, of most first base in the American League statistics. This team's rolling, baby. Best record in baseball. Hopefully they keep it going tomorrow. You got Scooble Game 3, so if you win tomorrow, you got a chance for a sweep. We'll talk about that and more tomorrow on Locked On Tigers.
Man, how nice would it be to be like, yeah, we got Scooble coming up. We can, we'll be just fine in this series. We can go for the sweep. He mentioned it, 20 games over 500. They're also 8 games up in the division. That's a nice little cushion, right, JD?
It's very nice to have. Detroit's just been one of the most complete teams in baseball. They've been excellent. And the other side of it, too, is that they're beating everybody. It's not like they're just taking advantage of lesser teams. No, they're 25-19 against teams over 500. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. They're going to play you hard, and more times than not, they're going to beat you. And I'm curious to see what they actually end up doing at the trade deadline to improve the team. When things are going so well, it's like, do we need to do anything to really shake things up at all? Like, you want to kind of keep things the way they are. Everybody's got their roles. Everybody knows what they're doing. They've been working together all season. So I'm curious if they do anything at all to really make any major improvements to become even better.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch for sure. Let's take it to the Nationals, meeting the Mets in Queens. When you're a team like the Nats and you've got a good young core, you kind of want to see what you can do against a team like the Mets. So they tried to show if they had a promising future, and it looked good for them for a while until the 10th inning. It was a walk-off win for the Mets. Now, I just have to, I got to laugh, JD. Griffin Canning on the bump for the Mets. You were mad at me last week because he had such a great outing
Mad
against the Dodgers.
is a little extreme, but yeah, I was definitely ribbing you a little bit because I dropped him.
and I believe my exact words were, give it a week. And a week later, here we are. Not a great outing. 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 home runs, and 5 and a third inning. Lucky for him, the Mets picked him up. Juan Soto hits his 12th home run. Pete Alonso tied the game in the 8th with an RBI single. Already has 19 RBIs in the month of June. And then Jeff McNeil walks it off in the 10th. So Cannon gets bailed out by his offense. But I just, I had to poke a little fun because I literally said, give it a week. Here we are a week later. And Canning went back to doing Canning things. But that's neither here nor there. JD, take us to Colorado where the Giants are visiting the Rockies.
Yeah, Giants in Denver facing those Rockies, trying to take advantage of a series against Colorado while the Dodgers and the Padres are duking it out in their series. Rockies had a 5-2 lead in this one.
Yeah.
And everything seemed to be going just fine. They got home runs from Ryan McMahon and Kyle Farmer. But then the wheels come off in very Rockies fashion. The Giants plate 4 runs in the top of the 9th against Zach Agnos. Just a nightmare inning for him. Leadoff home run by Casey Schmidt. Then 3 walks before they turn it over to Victor Vodnik, who ends up giving up a sac fly to Elliot Ramos, and then back-to-back singles. And just like that, boom, the Giants are on top by a score of 6-5. Agnos gets the loss and sees his ERA balloon from 2.70 to 4.43. Vodnik gets that blown save. Rockies baseball, man, it is tough to watch in 2025. Absolutely. I feel for Paul.
Rangers meet the Twins in Minnesota. Rangers have been looking for offense, and they even fired their hitting coach. They brought in Brett Boone to help out with that, and they certainly got it in this one, 16-4 over the Twins. Evan Carter, 3 for 5 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. Josh Young, 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs. Adolis Garcia, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Kyle Higashioka, 2 for 5 with 5 RBIs from the catcher spot. Tyler Mahle gets the win to move his 6-3 on the season.
The Southsiders, White Sox at Houston, facing the Astros. White Sox have shown some nice flashes here and there of what they could be down the road. We know this year is not the year.
Right.
But they had Shane Smith on the mound tonight, entered Tuesday's game with a 2.45 ERA. He was very, very good for the White Sox, and he gets the win too. Luis Robert Jr., yes, still alive, goes 2 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs to lead the White Sox to a 4-2 victory over Houston. Blue Jays at the Cardinals. Blue Jays hang on in this one by a score of 10-9. Cardinals just 3-4 on their current 9-game homestand, despite beating the Dodgers twice.
Right.
It was a tough loss because the pitching staff was just really, really bad for the Cardinals in this one. And every single time that the Cardinals offense would counterpunch whatever the Blue Jays just did, the Blue Jays would just come right back and end up scoring more runs there as well. Alejandro Kirk is having a heck of a series, 4 for 5 on Monday. And then on Tuesday, he was 3 for 5. He's now hitting 455 in the month of June. He's really, really good. They can't get him out.
It's going to happen that way. Now, I'm going to take you to Anaheim, where the Angels walked it off in the 10th inning. Jose Soriano was electric. Took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. Final line was 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 12 Ks, a career high on 110 pitches, also a career high. They didn't do anything to get, to back him up. Travis d'Arnaud came in with a pinch hit, first pitch home run to tie the game 1-1 versus the A's. Went to extras because, of course, it did. We're doing game night, so the games have to go to extras. But Nolan Shonowell, the guy who got robbed by Denzel Clark on Monday, he walked it off with a bloop single that fell in front of Denzel Clark. So that was
Did he yell, "Catch this, big boy"?
Yeah, probably as he rounded the bases. Exactly. All right, JD, take us to the last game of the night. Mariners meeting the Diamondbacks in Arizona.
Yeah, on Monday night, they got that walk-off grand slam. They did not need the heroics from Josh Naylor on this one, as Arizona ends up beating the Mariners by a score of 10-3. Get 3 home runs on the night. Gabriel Moreno took Trent Thornton deep to left field for a 3-run bomb in the 6th inning. It was a 4-2 ball game at that point, and that just kind of blew the game wide open. They get home runs from Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Alec Thomas. Corbin Carroll, my dude, hits 2 triples and drives in 2, leads the league in triples now with 8 to go along with his 19 home runs. Brandon Pfaadt ends up getting the win in this one. He's now got 8 wins on the season, John, but he's got an ERA of 5.50. Make it make sense, because I can't, but he keeps winning when he's out there. Mariners will try to avoid the sweep on Wednesday. They'll have Brian Wu getting the start against Eduardo Rodriguez.
Woo! Got to give you a Ric Flair woo for Brian Wu. Hey, thanks for being here for this edition of Locked On MLB Game Night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you are. Of course, we're available in your audio podcast feed as well. We're going to do it again tomorrow night. JD and I will be here. We hope you'll join us. Come back and visit us for MLB Game Night, every game, every night.